Chapter 6. Penance. The meaning of the symbols came to me in the most roundabout way. I was looking at some of Kaylee's correspondence with Tamron, and when I questioned her, she showed me an entry in a textbook that linked the Estolian script to GE's. One of the symbols fairly leapt out at me, and she told me that it meant plan, or design with a modifier that made it the greatest, or grandest. The grand design. I'd almost finished translating Key's inscription over the exit from the medallion room, and the final line, written horizontally for emphasis, instead of the typical vertical script, said, "Beware the grand design." I felt the crawl of fear down my spine. What was Key trying to say, and to whom? Jeremiah Zakarian, in Scrito. Sebastian woke with pain reverberating through his system. It was an apt seasoning for this meal of the ashes of all he destroyed. He could only think about Corella's white face as she told him the name of his son. Dumeril brought him a simple meal. He drank some of the wine, but refused anything more substantial. He had been brought to recuperate in Dumeril's personal quarters. When the next meal was brought to him, he couldn't face the thought of eating. He rejected the rich broth that was offered to him. Dumeril set the bowl down before pulling a stool close to the side of the bed. Once he was seated, he said, "You must eat." "Why?" Sebastian's voice reflected the sickness of soul that had been with him since Corella's death. "Because no man may usurp the judgment of the 7 deities, which you attempt when you seek to starve yourself. In faith, you must try to heal, and to heal, you must eat. Have you any other inducement?" He wanted an end to the physical pain throbbing through his groin, and the emotional pain of knowing that Corella was dead. Dumeril pulled the stool closer to Sebastian. "I will raise my sister's son, and he will know me as his father." He pursed his lips and looked thoughtful. "Did you note that she named him Corleon?" "She told me she had." It had seemed unimportant. "In our family, a woman chooses the name of her baby. Combining her name and yours, naming him Corleon was her way of telling you how much she loved you." His eyes met Sebastian's and he said fervently, "My sister's biggest fear was that Groban would have you killed if she named you as the babe's father. Because you do not care to live, you might return to be with her, but only after she sees her deepest fear come true." The thought of causing Corella pain was more than he could bear. "I will eat," he decided. That conversation marked the turn in his recuperation, and when he survived, he often thanked the 7 deities for their mercy. What did castration matter when the only woman he would ever love no longer walked this world? What was difficult about serving this family, if he could spend the rest of his life serving his son? In the years since his daughter's death, Groban had mellowed from his first fury when he called for Sebastian's death. He never forgot his daughter, but he accepted that Sebastian's remorse was real, and his loyalty absolute. In many ways Sebastian was treated as if he was one of the family. Once Corleon was weaned, Sebastian slept in the room with Corleon, tending his needs in everything. It was one of his greatest pleasures, even if he was thought of as nothing more than a servant. It was enough that Sebastian knew that Corleon was the physical proof of his and Corella's love. From the time he could walk, Corleon was utterly fascinated by the horses his uncle and grandfather raised. He had a never-ending stream of questions about them. Dumeril planned to give him lessons in horsemanship when he reached the pivotal age of 7 and was ready to learn the skills and responsibilities of young men. He had not yet celebrated the 5th anniversary of his birth when Groban's family welcomed Corella's best friend, Marina, and her father Galen. They brought a beautiful gelding, half the size of a normal horse, with them as a gift for Corleon. The miniature steed would suit Corleon until he reached the age of 7. Working with Corleon, serving him, and doing what he could to enhance Groban's home were all second nature. He cherished Dumeril's friendship, their companionship alleviated some of Sebastian's loneliness. As Corleon neared his 5th birthday, the precarious happiness Sebastian enjoyed was ruptured. He was tending to the hooves on one of the draft horses when Groban came out to see him. "Sebastian," he said, "when you are done, come out and speak with me." He finished with trimming the hoof and then went out to the spreading oak tree where Groban sat on a bench that Sebastian had built in his free time. He did not like what he saw on Groban's face. Dumeril will be joined with Marina during the solstice festival. They will live with her family, and he is to take over Galen's estate. My estate will go to my brother's sons, who will be coming to live here after the festival. It was a sensible arrangement. Marina was the only child of a very wealthy landowner. It was an advantageous alliance between the two families. Groban sighed heavily and settled one of his hands on Sebastian's shoulder, when he added, Dumeril thinks of Corleon as his firstborn son. Corleon will move with him to Marina's home. Sebastian was never acknowledged as Corleon's father, but he loved his son with all the pride and fervor of any other father. He kept his expression bland, but felt as if the structure of his happiness was being shattered. Lifting his chin, he said firmly, I am pledged to serve your family until the day I die. Yes, Sebastian. I appreciate your undying loyalty. I felt it was only right to tell you what was going to happen once the decision was made.